Welcome back to the Print on Demand cast. In this week's episode, we're going to be talking about in-house production versus outsourced production in your print on demand business. So let's get into it.
Radical! Welcome to this week's episode of the Print on Demand cast. Each week, join the gnarly Travis and Josiah as they provide insight into the print on demand industry and equip you with the totally tubular tools, advice, and strategies you need to achieve success and hopefully have a few laughs along the way. Now on to this week's Totally Tubular show.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Print on Demand cast. So glad you're here. And this is the first time I'm actually recording the Print on Demand cast without Josiah officially. Now, there's been obviously solo episodes where we haven't been able to connect, but he's done. He's gone. He's out of here. So I don't know. You're stuck with me. I hope I can still bring some value to you, but I'm excited. I'm excited in a way. I am sad that he's not there. I was actually, I'm actually recording this on Halloween, October 31st, Thursday, and I posted in the Facebook group last night that I wasn't going to be able to get it out yesterday. I did work on it, but once I started working on it, I kept wanting to add more things. And by the time I was, kind of done adding more things, it was too late to really record it and get all the things done that I needed to get it done to get it out to you. So I just put it off for a day. And part of that is because, I don't have Josiah as an accountability, to get this thing recorded and a schedule and all of those things. So I think, honestly, I think this podcast might be a little different moving forward just because it's just me. I think there were some times, if I'm just being honest, there were some times in the past where we would record a podcast because that's what we did on Wednesdays, or that's what we did, or that's what we released on Wednesdays. We had a schedule, and so we would, just release podcasts. I don't know that I'm not going to release one every week, but I guess what I'm saying is I don't necessarily want to just put a podcast out to put a podcast out. I want to actually provide some value. So if that, comes back to bite me in the butt because I lose a bunch of listeners because it's not every single week, well, so be it. At least the ones that are going out will be more valuable. For now, I'm going to try to get one out every week. We'll just see how it goes. But that's just me pulling back the curtain. I like to be as honest as possible with you guys because you're giving me your time and I want to treat that as valuable and give you, value and actually share with you what's going on kind of behind the scenes and where my head's at with this whole thing. So this last week has been really pretty awesome. We've had an incredible fall in Colorado. It just kind of started turning, I don't know, a little bit cold. Got some, overcast weather, rainy, kind of almost snow weather yesterday for the first time. But before that, man, it was beautiful. My wife and I went to Estes Park, which is about an hour from us. So it's really close. We can just pop up there pretty much anytime and had kind of a date Saturday, if you will. Got up there, had some dinner. I bought this really cool hat. I usually don't buy hats because most of the time I used to make them and I just haven't bought a lot of hats, but this is really cool. If you're on YouTube, you can see this. Also, this is going to be a good episode for you to check out on YouTube. I'm going to be doing a lot of screen sharing as we move along, but also you just probably want to see this really cool hat. It has Smokey the Bear patch on it, and then it's corduroy. And it's kind of a fall color, goes with really nice with fall. So I had to have it, it's actually Outdoor Cap, which is one of my favorite companies that makes hats, Outdoor Cap. I've seen them at many trade shows and they actually do produce my favorite snapback. It's a snapback hat that also has kind of a flex in the actual brim too, or not the brim, but the around it. So it stretches and really, really fits your head really well. And I have one of those. This is not one of those, just made by the same company, but I'm not affiliated with Outdoor Cap, so I'll stop talking about them, but it's a really good hat. Anyway, yeah, had a really great week. I'll also talk about an order that I got out this week that it came in through e-commerce, but I captured it before I sent it to Guten to fulfill. And I just decided to do it here to kind of run a little experiment that I'm going to be talking about in the main event for in-house versus outhouse, in-house versus outsourced production. So we'll be talking about that a little later. But like I said, this format may be a little different moving forward. I don't know if I'll have all the segments. Part of that is due to the fact that the streaming platform / recording platform that Josiah and I have used for several years, StreamYard, and we have like all of our cool bumpers in there, and all that stuff. Because it's just really, really convenient for us. They like doubled the price or close to doubled it just all of a sudden, and really didn't add any value, and it kind of frustrated a lot of people. And so I'm looking at different platforms. But what that means is that a lot of the cool little bumpers and fun things that we're able to just push a button and have it happen won't necessarily happen. It has to happen post-production. And if I'm going to be honest, I don't really want to do a lot of post-production. So I don't know that all of those things will be in there. Not that that necessarily matters to you, because you don't come for the bumpers, I don't think. You come for the content. So the content hopefully will still be good, but it'll be a little bit different. This particular week, we are going to actually have a point of interest, actually two kind of points of interest, and then the main event. So it's a really packed episode, and I'm going to try to just barrel through it, but I really have a lot of content to get to. But I do want you to stick around to the end, because like I said in the Facebook group yesterday, I do have a free tool that I'm going to make available to you that I think will potentially help you in determining whether you should go in-house or outsourced with your print on demand. It'll also help you if you've already decided and you just kind of want to keep track of what you're really making. So, but I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but do stick around to the end. You can get that free tool. I'll also be putting it out in the newsletter this week. So if you're not subscribed to the newsletter, you should be. printondemandcast.com/VIP. You could sign up right there, and I send you newsletters once a week, and you get an extra dad joke. So, yeah. Speaking of free tools, though, a couple weeks ago, I informally announced a listing challenge, and I'm just curious. I want to bring that up because I want to keep you accountable. So how's that going? How is your listing going? We are in Q4. It's the last day of October. We've only got 2 months left in the year, and our sales, well, at least the number of shoppers out there is going to increase substantially as November hits, and then definitely in December. So you want to be ready with your listings, and that's why we did the listing challenge. Just want to know how it's going. If you're creating some, if you're actually using that tracker that I provided to kind of keep track, I would love to hear how you're doing. Please, please, please send me a message, reply to the email that I'll send out later today. You'll probably get it, either today or tomorrow. And but if you didn't hear that episode, I believe it's episode 227, or I'm sorry, 217. 217 is when I announced that and kind of talked about it. We referenced it on 218, which was Josiah's last episode. But you can go and just download this little Google sheet that'll help you kind of keep track of things. And it's printondemandcast.com/listing-tracker. Again, that'll be in the show notes. It'll also be on the email. So go to printondemandcast.com/VIP. There's going to be a lot of links today because I'm going to be talking about a lot of things. So you want to be on that email list, and you want to be able to get those links and have them all in one place. They will be in the show notes, so I guess they're there, but go ahead and go to printondemandcast.com/VIP and sign up for our VIP newsletter. All right. So I think we're ready to move on. I got a lot of stuff going on this week, so going to try to keep us going. And of course, it is time for everyone's favorite segment, which will never go away, even if there's no bumper, the weekly dad joke.
Time for the weekly dad joke.
All right. Time for the weekly dad joke. I was reminiscing about, some Halloweens and, when I was young, and thinking about some friends that I used to have. And I had this one really good friend of mine whose parents got divorced. And it was really hard on him because his mom, she married an officer from the military. I can't remember which branch it was, but he was an officer from the military, and this guy became obviously my good friend's stepdad. And I felt bad for my friend because this military officer guy was really, really mean to him. His mom just really made a bad choice. He was a major faux pas. He was a major faux pas. Yeah, and that's this week's weekly dad joke. Hope you like that. A lot of setup for that delivery to make it seem real, but hopefully you appreciate my storytelling abilities. I sure love that stuff. Anyway, we're going to jump right into the point of interest section where I'm going to share actually 2 points of interest. So it's the points of interest segment, I guess. Here we go.
Well, howdy, partner. Welcome to the point of interest part of the POD cast. So grab your hat and hold on tight because we got some learning to do.
There's that whip that Josiah always said was too loud. And he's the one who added it, so it's his fault. All right. In this week's point of interest, I wanted to talk about a couple of new things from Printful. And Printful is a print-on-demand vendor. You've probably heard of them. They are one, if not the one that a lot of people use. The big 2 kind of Printify and Printful, I would say. Printful is typically described as the more expensive. However, I think in many cases, maybe not all, but in many cases, they're also considered the highest quality. So I wanted to talk about a couple of things that I just recently heard about that Printful is doing. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. And I'm going to talk to you about a new product that they're offering that I just thought was super, super cool. And this, my friends, is custom designed knitwear. And it's a new type of print on demand option or product that you can offer in your store, or you can sell to people if you use Printful. And as you can see on YouTube, again, I want to encourage you to check this out on YouTube. You can see this is like a sweater, but the actual yarn has been dyed to the correct color. And you can see it's called jacquard knitting. And I had to look that word up, Jacquard, jacquard knitting. And from the website, it says jacquard knitting is an intricate technique that knits yarn to form detailed patterns directly into the fabric of a garment. And so for those of you who are listening, there are really 2 examples here in the video. One girl has like a yellow sweater with a black hem, at the bottom, and then black sleeves and a black collar. And then there's literally a smiley face in the middle, a black smiley face on a yellow background, which is the rest of the sweater. And then the other guy has like a red, pink, and white heart that kind of, it's multiple layers, and it goes all the way down his arms. And then his sleeves and his neckline and his cuffs are white. And you can see a zoomed in picture of this jacquard knitting, and you can actually see that it's not just like a sticker or a transfer on top of a sweater. It's actually, the yarn is actually dyed to the correct color, and then they're knit together. So it's really cool, really unique way of doing print on demand. And so this is it's not a cheap product. And right here, you can see that it's $43 or $40.42 if you have Printful Growth, which is their bonus program, I guess, to get extra discounts. I'll talk about that later, because that's another thing that I wanted to talk about, that they're doing something special for those who are involved in Printful growth. So if you're Printful growth, you'll get the $40.42 cost on this particular garment. But I mean, this is a really cool, really cool piece of clothing here. And so what I did was I went ahead and selected a product. And then what I found out is that you can only pick 4 of 36 predefined colors. So you have to decide what colors you're going to use for your design. And you can only have 4. So you can't do like a huge, like a rainbow or a huge multi-colored design, because you can only have 4 colors. So that does limit you a little bit. And those colors are there's only 36 to pick from. So I'll show you what I did here in just a second. And then you get to kind of adjust the graphics, and you have a little bit of a, well, I'll show you here in just a second. But yeah, there's no more than 4 colors. You have 36 colors to select from. And it says Jacquard knitting creates a tightly bound structure, making darker base colors look better and preventing distortion or light color from showing through at the seams. So I think they're saying to opt for darker base and then put like your whites or your lighter colors in the actual design. And then you can contrast the trim areas. Again, that trim area for your sleeves and your collar and your hem at the bottom of the garment has to be one of those 4 colors as well. So I went ahead and I went to Creative Fabrica, and I found this Naughty List funny Christmas design, and it looks like something you'd see on a sweater, but it's on a t-shirt. It's just a graphic, and it says on the naughty list and I regret nothing. And then it's got some trees, and it's in red and green and white, and there's only really 3 colors on this garment, and that's really why I chose it, because I need the base color, and then I can only have 3 more, and then one of those 3 has to be like the collar or the cuff, or whatever. So I thought that was a fun design, so I went ahead and added that to this product here, and this is the product. And you can see here, I can move this around, and it's going to update the actual thing on the side here. At least it should. There, yeah, it's moving around. You can see it moving on the mock-up. They have a basic mock-up here. And so when I started it and it added it, I mean, it was like all the way like this, and you can see how big it gets on the mock-up here in a second when it actually there. Looks a little bit obviously too big. So I played with it a little bit. You have a few tools, to choose, like you can center it and do a few different things. If you have something that you want to add, you can add things to the sleeves. I didn't do anything. I just left them the same color. And then of course I chose the green for the cuff, and same thing on the collar. You can see I chose the green for the collar, and then on the bottom hem of the garment. I chose these yarn colors over here. You get to choose. And so if I change one of these colors, it's going to change the, instead of bleach, which is their version of white, I could change that to pink, and then you're going to see that list right there in the middle turn to pink. I guess I could just do that. Oh, that's a clear. Okay. So I want to change this to bleach, which is their white. So I have chosen chili, which is a red of sorts. It was the most red. I don't know why they call it chili, but that's what they call it. And then grass was the best green I could find. And then bleach is like the best white. And then the base color for the whole thing is black. And then the trim color again is grass, which is their green. And so those are the 4 yarn colors I chose. You could come in here and you can add text. You can, use quick designs, which is, I think, their AI thing, or a clip art or whatever. I have not figured out the difference between the color selection mode, which is solid colors. You get a clear color. or pixelated colors. You get more detailed designs with halftones. Since this is more text-based, I just went with solid colors, okay, because I want them to be more contrasting. So yeah, that's as much as I can understand without actually seeing it. But this would cost me $43 if I wanted to buy it. I have considered buying it for like an ugly Christmas sweater party or something like that. But I haven't. It's just sitting in my designer, I guess. But yeah, so that is the knitted or the custom knitwear, and it's just a really cool product. With ugly Christmas sweater parties coming up, this would be a really cool idea to potentially capitalize and get something going in that market. If you sell, something that would go along with that, you might be able to do pretty well for that. And I mean, this is custom, so you could actually allow them to give you text. You could have a basic design, and then allow them to give you text that you add to the design. So there's a lot of things you could do with this. And yeah, I mean, give it a shot. It's worth it. $43. Heck, just buy your own. I'm not sure what the shipping was. I didn't check that out, but it's probably, anywhere from $5 to $8 or something like that for a sweater. Probably like $8.99 would be my guess, but that's what their sweatshirt is. Their Gildan 500 sweatshirt is $8.99, I think. So that's probably close to what it is. So you're looking at $50 for this thing. So you're going to have to sell it for 75, 80. I don't know if that's too much, to in your store, but if it's not too much, if you have some nice products in there already and you want to offer this premium option, it might work well for you. So I'll stop talking about that and get to the second part of our point of interest. And this is just, I wanted to share with you an email that I got recently from Printful. And I got this earlier this week. If you're on Printful, if you have an account, you may have also got it, but they are doing a special promo from November 1st, which is technically tomorrow, through December 15th, which is about when you'd stop shipping anyway for the holidays, if you're using an outsourced print vendor like Printful. So from November 1st to December 15th, what they're doing is they have picked a few products to give extra discounts to if you are a part of their what's it called? Their Printful membership, and they have two types of memberships. One you can buy, the second one you earn, but it's the same idea. And so they say unlock up to 43% off this sales season. Again, I'll put this link in the show notes so you'll have it. And what it shows here is that, from November 1st to December 15th, they're going to be giving these extra discounts, 15% to 43% off of their Printful membership discount that they already give you. So it's a bonus on the discount that you already get if you sign up for their membership. They do have a 14-day free trial on that membership. So you could get 14 days of this and cancel and still get those best sellers for that, or that extra discount for that 14 days. Although if you haven't listed these products already, it might be difficult to get the traction that you'd need to sell enough in 14 days. So that's the caveat. So let's go and check these different exclusive member-only discounts here. So you've got your basic unisex hoodie. I can't remember what this one was. I want to say it was is it a Gildan? Oh, no, this is the Cotton Heritage Premium Hoodie. Okay, so the base price on this, if you are just a Printful subscriber, you don't have a membership or anything, it's $25.45. And then you can see here that the sales price from November 1st through December 15th is $20.99. So that's a pretty substantial discount. Now, you might be asking, well, what do you get normally, from December 16th through October 31st if you're part of that membership? And I wish they had it here on this page. It's kind of, to me, it's a mistake. They should have had that. It's because it's base price, then member price, then sales price, because you have to come over to the actual product page to see what the member price is. It's Printful Growth. And so normally $25.45 for this Cotton Heritage M2580 premium hoodie with DTG printing. And it's $23.65 with Printful Growth. And then you come back over here and it's $20.99. So you're getting a difference of what? $3.64. Is that what it is? $2.64 for those 45 days. We'll just call it 45 days from November 1st to December 15th. That said, there are a couple of really cool designs. There are some paper posters that you get. That's where they got the 43%. Is that what it is? Yeah, 43%. That's the one that they deeply discounted. And so if you're selling posters, paper posters, matte paper posters, this could be a really good deal for you because it's a pretty steep discount. But this garment heavyweight t-shirt, I checked that out. That's actually the C17 or CC1717, which is the garment dyed, the comfort color 1717, which comes in all these different colors. Again, it's DTG printing, normally $14.95 or $13.40 if you're a member, but this 45 days, it's going to be $11.49 plus shipping. So that's a pretty popular t-shirt. And that's a pretty good price actually for that particular shirt. And they're really good at having lots of colors, and they stay in stock with those colors, which is really nice. The next one I looked at was a Bella Canvas t-shirt, which this is a tri-blend. It's the Bella Canvas 3413. It's probably one of the softest t-shirts you'll ever feel. I mean, I'm not even kidding. It's such a nice shirt. This one's normally $17.75 and $15.75 if you are on their Printful Growth membership. But this month, it's going to be this one, $11.99. So that's a smoking deal on that really, really nice shirt. Then I wanted to check out, I was looking at some of these hats, and they have a vintage cap here. Didn't really look at that. This is the one I looked at, this retro trucker hat. The base price is $12.99, and they're going to basically give you $2 off, $10.95 for this hat. And this hat is actually embroidered. And I know this Yupong 6606. It's a nice hat. It's a quality trucker hat. You know, it's got the adjustable snapback, and it's got different colors. You can see on the screen here. I like this heather front, black back. I like that a lot, especially with leather patches. Hint, hint. That's what I do. I do a lot of leather patches, but even with embroidery, it's really cool. So your standard embroidery is going to run you $12.99 normally, $12.29. So they usually with Printful Growth, they usually don't give that big of a discount, but this 45-day period, it's going to be $10.95. So I love this particular product because it's also only $4 to ship. It's $3.99 to ship this thing. So you're talking, for under $15, you're getting a really, really nice embroidered cap. I love this. It's a really good deal. You could charge a lot for it. Now, you do have to, when you do any type of embroidery you have to always get the artwork digitized. And so what Printful does is they charge you a one-time fee, and then they store that, and any more orders you get with that particular art will not be charged. So and then they have like the member embroidery areas, and then they have a file template that you can do, but you can basically use that whole area to do your embroidery. And it doesn't matter if it's a little teeny tiny area or a large area, they're going to charge you the same, which is really kind of crazy, because when we did it and we would do bulk work for people, it takes longer the larger the area is, because it's stitching each one of those individual stitches. It's sewing it. And so we would go by the stitch count. And so the difference in a, 2,500 stitch count embroidery piece versus a 12,000 could be like, 3 or 4 minutes extra on the actual um, embroidery machine. So the fact that you're not getting charged for that extra time, and that doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're talking about, 50 of the same things or 100 of the same, and we're doing single head embroidery, we had 2 machines, it could take a long time to get through that order if it's, 15,000 stitches. So we had to charge more versus, a smaller, less stitches, less cost. Well, Printful doesn't care, I guess. So they just allow you to fill up that whole area with your embroidery. And as long as you keep it inside of this file template, it's going to be I think it's $6.99. Yeah, $6.50 actually. So standard digitation is $6.50. Then you have to choose from, you could, first of all, you can only use 6 thread colors for that $6.50 for your design. And then you have to choose from these colors, which can be limiting. Unfortunately, there's only what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like 15 colors. Okay. Now they do have a thread color that's unlimited. They have an unlimited thread color, and that was up here with unlimited color. It's an extra $3.50. And then if you do that, your price goes up. I'm not sure if that qualifies for the 45 days, and they might just add $3.50 for that. But then all of a sudden you get, I guess they do any color except for metallic or neon. You don't have to choose. They just digitize it. And again, they're digitizing it for $6.50. And then you are, there's the unlimited embroidery colors, which is really cool. And so, man, I think I know how they're doing this. Josiah and I saw a machine that had that's another thing. I'm not going to get into that. I'll talk for 5 minutes on that. But it's a machine that basically changes the color of a white thread embroidery using sublimation before it sews onto the hat. Really freaking cool. So anyway, but for the standard for $15, even if you have to pick from those, it's really a good price. I actually, since I don't have embroidery, I had a previous client that contacted me who wanted some embroidered polo shirts. And I said, hey, I don't have an embroidery, but I can get it done for you. I'll just have to, I'll have to charge you more of a retail price. Cause he only wanted I think he wanted 5 or 6. And I said, well, I can have them shipped to you, but, it's going to be a little more than it was last time because I'm having to get it done, but I can take care of it all and get it shipped to you. That said, I can't match your colors like I did last time because we had hundreds of threads or cones of embroidery thread that we could choose from to match his logo a little better. And here I didn't want to pay I don't even know if I had the ability to do unlimited color when I did this. Maybe it was there and I just missed it. But I had to choose from those 15 colors. And so his orange on his logo wasn't quite the same orange that, we had done for him previously, but he was okay with it. I came in here, I had him digitize the one logo, and then I had him put it on 5 or 6 polos, and paid for it, had him send me, obviously invoiced him. He paid me, I paid for that. It's shipped to him. He's loving them. So they do a really nice job on embroidery. But so anyway, I wanted to show you that sale or that exclusive sale and then the products. So these are the only products that they're actually giving a discount on for those 45 days. But you still get the premium or the Printful growth price on every product on the site. So what you get with this perk with Printful growth, you get the 14-day trial, you get a 20% off all DTG products. So DTG, direct to garment. So that's t-shirts for the most part, and up to 30% discounts on other categories. Product branding discounts of 7%. So that's going to be inserts and, specialty boxes and bags and whatever they do for product branding. I'm not familiar with what Printful can do, but up to 7%. free digitization for sample orders. So if you wanted to do this retro truck and you wanted to see what it would look like with a particular, logo or something like that, and it's something that maybe you like, you wanted to make it, and you can get free digitization and only pay that $15 and have yourself a really nice hat, and then that will be digitized. They probably would charge you again if you actually sold it. I'm not sure on that one, but for the sample order, it's free, which is kind of cool. Personalized product transfer assistance. Not sure what that means. Unlimited stores per account. So in other words, this qualifies if you have an Etsy account hooked up to it, and you have two Etsy accounts hooked up to it, and you got your Amazon and you got your Shopify. All of those accounts are going to be included in your Printful growth discounts. Printful Business, which is this other one. So to finalize Printful growth, the price it's $24.99 a month, period. And then you get a 14-day free trial. Or if you've reached over $12,000 in product cost over the last 12 months. So if you're using Printful and you hit that 12K mark for the past month, and it's not what you're charging, it's what you're actually paying Printful, they will stop charging you the $24.99 and you'll just be on the Printful growth plan, which is kind of cool. Now, to take it up a notch, Printful Business, if you hit $60,000 over the last 12 months, so you're already at 12, you're not paying anything for Printful growth, and you hit 60K, you just basically get a few extra perks. It goes up to 22% on DTG products instead of 20, up to 33% all other categories instead of 30. Your product branding discount is 9 instead of 7. You get a sample order discount, which you didn't get on Printful growth, and that's 25%. So your samples are going to be 25% less. And then this is really cool. Free digitization for all embroidered products. So if you hit 60K and you're in Printful Business, you could list every piece of art you ever wanted to as an embroidered product and never have to pay a digitization fee. Pretty cool, and it doesn't matter if it never sells or if it sells one time. You don't have to factor that $6.50 digitization fee into your final output. Then it has all the other stuff. But okay, all of that. I wish I had more than a 14-day trial to offer you guys, but if you are interested, you want to sign up for Printful, you don't already have an account. It would be awesome if you went through our affiliate link, printondemandcast.com/Printful. And then you could come over and you could sign up for Printful growth if you wanted to. Or you could just get a sample, get a sample of one of these products, get a sample of their embroidery, see what the quality is, or start using it. Compare your prices. And I'm getting into in the main event, I'm going to provide you with a tool where you can do that pretty easily. So, but yeah, go to printondemandcast.com/Printful, and then check out the links in the show notes to find the knitted sweatshirt link, and then the sale link that I was talking about in this unlock up to 43% off this sales season. Okay, so I am going to remove that, come back to you guys. Wow, 38 minutes in. This is going by fast. I knew it was going to go by fast, but I didn't want to I wanted to put all the Printful stuff together, to give it to you guys. And I didn't want to save this for later or whatever. But that is the point of interest portion of the show. And so we're going to go ahead and move into the main event and just keep going.
Main event, who's calling?
All right. Well, this week's main event, we're going to be talking about in-house production versus outsourced production. And this kind of started because, like I mentioned in the intro, I had a order come in on Walmart, and it was for coffee mugs, and it was the same coffee mug. It was 24 coffee mugs. Unfortunately, on Walmart, there may be a way to do this, but I haven't figured it out. They only allow people to buy in 12s. So it was actually 2 orders for 12 coffee mugs. So it was 24 coffee mugs. Um, since I shut down the shop last summer, I still have a lot of coffee mugs. I brought a lot of things home, and I still have, multiple presses, and I've talked about this. And so I was like, I want to get rid of these coffee mugs ultimately. I mean, I want to sell them. So this is a good opportunity to, do 12 of them. And I know it's not going to take that long. I know how to ship. I know how to make and ship coffee mugs because I've done it for so long. I'm going to make a little bit more money by doing it this way. And it's also going to be an opportunity for me to kind of test some pricing and look at the difference in pricing. So I'll get into that. But before I get into that kind of case study, if you will, I just wanted to go over a few of these. It's like I could do a pros and cons list for in-house production, and then I could do a pros and cons list for outsourced production. But really, at the end of the day, a pro for in-house production is a con for outsourced production. So instead of doing that, I decided to just kind of, what's the issue? And then what does it look like in in-house and what does it look like in outsourced? So I'm just going to kind of breeze through these things. Um, Basically, I gave ChatGPT a few of these ideas, and then I added a few kind of comments to some of the outputs and added a few extra issues that I thought were important. So here we go. This is ChatGPT and Travis on the differences between in-house and outsourced production for print on demand or print on demand business owners. So the first one is it's going to be quality control. And obviously with in-house, you have a lot more quality control. You just do, because you get to see every single thing before it goes out. So if something's bad, you have the opportunity to see it. Now, whether or not you do is a whole nother thing, but you saw a few weeks ago, I showed a picture of that coffee mug that was printed upside down, now that might happen if you're doing it in-house, but you're going to see it when you're boxing it, and you're probably not going to send it out. If depending on what their workflow is in an outsourced environment, it might not have that second set of eyes on it before it goes into the box, or the person's just doing this all day and putting them in boxes and just, kind of out of sight, out of mind. And they're just mindlessly doing it. And your customer then gets something that has less quality control, or, it's wrong basically, than it would have had you done it in-house. So that's quality control. Customization, it's easier to do the branding, when we say customization, like more like branding or in-house branding, with like your print on demand brand. So it's easier to do it when it's in-house. It's very easy for you to throw a card, a pre-made card in a bag when you send your shirt, or, or something like that, or even get boxes made for your mugs that are branded, or, put a sticker on them. It's really easy. It's super simple. So a lot of these outsourced companies are doing this now, but you got to pay for it, and it may not be quite as easy as doing it yourself. So that's something to consider. Turnaround time, obviously, if you're doing it in-house, you can do it same day if you want. It's just as quickly as you can get the orders. I mean, we would every single day in the morning, we'd have our VAs batch everything and give them to the different departments. So DTG department, embroidery department, sublimation department, et cetera, et cetera. And so when our staff came in, they would walk into their space, turn on their computer, and they'd have the orders ready that had come in before, like the day before. And they'd have all the packing slips and everything they needed to just get going and produce the orders from yesterday. And if we finish those up, we could start on today's orders. Usually we didn't do that. We would find something else to do, or somebody, one department would be done and another department wouldn't. So they would help, package or something like that. So, but that's how we handled it. So you can basically create your own workflow if you're doing it in-house. When it's outsourced, you're dependent on the other company's workflow. And so it may take longer because who knows how busy they are, how many orders they had. What if a whole bunch of people got bulk orders, over the weekend, and, when is yours going to go out? When did yours come in? And do they do them in the order that they come in, or do they do all the bulk orders first and then they get to the single orders? Or, who knows? You don't know that. So depending on who you're working with, it could take longer. Your profit margin, obviously, with in-house is going to be larger because you are doing the work. That said, you are also potentially paying for labor. And if you're like, well, I'm not paying myself for labor. Well, yeah, you are. You're paying yourself. You're paying in time. You're either going to pay in time or you're going to pay in dollars. So you got to consider that. But your actual profit margins that are going into your books for the product before your variable costs, which variable costs are going to include your employees. Okay. Your profit margin before that is going to be better. It's going to be higher than it is if you're outsourcing it, because you're paying for their variable costs baked into the price of the good that you're selling. Startup costs, obviously, if you're doing it in-house, you got to have some equipment. And I'm going to talk a little bit about this at the end, but I think some of that is a little bit blown out of proportion. I don't think the startup costs have to be as high as some people think. And I really think you can start and get started and have a pretty decent, pretty decent amount of machines, or not amount of machines, but pretty good quality machines. And you can do it you could start if you just wanted to do apparel for like $500, or less. If you wanted to do, a few other things, you might look at 1,000 or 1,500, and you could do hats, apparel, and drinkware, for $1,500. And then you're just buying. Obviously, you have to buy the stock to have on hand if you're selling it print on demand. So there's more investment up front, even though that's your inventory. You have to buy it up front. Print on demand vendors, print on demand, the true business model of print on demand, where you're outsourcing it to your vendor that's going to produce it off site. You don't pay for any of that up front. So you can get started for free, which is amazing. So obviously higher startup cost with in-house production. Same with overhead costs. Now if you're doing it in your house, it's, if you're just doing print on demand outsourced, there is and I'm not a tax advisor, so please talk to your tax person, but I write off a section of, like, when I was just doing outsourcing, I would write off the section of my office in my house as a percentage of my house as my business space. So I'd write that off as a business expense at the end of the year. Now that I have that office space, I have space in the garage, I have space downstairs because I have equipment, I can write off a larger chunk of that. So that overhead that but at the same time, I will just say, I can't use that space for other things, right? I can't park a car in that third car garage, because it's got my laser engraver in it and a bunch of stock, and some other stuff. I can't turn this area right here into a bedroom because I'm using it. It's got equipment in it. It's got my lights and my cameras and my computers and my printers and, presses and things like that. So overhead costs traditionally are going to be more expensive in a in-house production, especially as you scale it, because you're probably going to need another space and you might need employees. And so that overhead does start to creep up over time. Obviously, if you're outsourcing it, it's severely reduced overhead because you don't have the production space. But like I said, that production space can be written off on your taxes. So if you're not using that space anyway, who knows? Okay. Scalability, it's harder to quickly scale in the in-house without cash to invest, or just some type of additional investment to get more equipment, employees, whatever else you might need. Like I say, you might need another space, a larger space, et cetera, et cetera. Scalability in in outsourcing, it's pretty easy to adjust your production to meet that fluctuating demand. So in Christmas, you don't have to hire extra workers like I always did at the shop, to get all of our stuff out and our client stuff out. We had to have temp workers. So scalability is easier, obviously, when you're just outsourcing it. You're letting them hire the extra workers. You might pay a premium for that. As a matter of fact, most of these companies, the shipping companies, or the print on demand companies, they are charging a surcharge or an extra cost during November and December, because it just costs more to do all of these things. A lot of the shipping companies are increasing their rates, and so they're passing them on to us as vendors, or I'm sorry, as print on demand owners when we ship our products. So you're going to pay for one way or the other. Let's see, inventory management. Again, if you're doing it in-house, you have to be able to get the inventory or hold the inventory. You have to be able to, you have to hold it, which is an investment, or be able to get the inventory quick enough that you can meet the demands of wherever you've sold that, whatever sales channel you sold that on. If it's your own, if it's a Shopify, then you get to set that and it's not that big of a deal. But if it's an Amazon or an Etsy and you have a specific amount of time that you need to get that out, well, that could be a little bit more challenging if you're always ordering only when you get a sale on one of those channels. The other thing you run into is when you don't order in bulk, you typically pay more because you have to pay for shipping. And so a lot of those companies, a lot of those wholesale companies will have a free shipping threshold that you'll want to meet when you're ordering inventory. So that is an issue for inventory management. Obviously, the risk factor, 100% much more risky to do it in-house because you have investment, you have equipment, you have greater exposure ultimately. I mean, as you know, my example of having a big shop and scaling quickly and then having to sell it all at a discount, to get out and move back here. And I had to adjust and all of that. So there was more risk to do that. But there's also, because there's more risk, there's more potential for reward, which is those higher profit margins. And if you can scale with the right product, and the right strategy, it can really be huge for you. And then, yeah, I think that's enough for those. Provider dependency was one that ChatGPT said. Full independence in the production processes, when you're doing it in-house. So you get to choose how, what the process is, what your SOPs are. It's creating more work for yourself, but you can potentially eliminate potentials for issues and potentially become more, just what's the word? You could do it quicker. You can do it better. You can be more efficient. That's the word. Versus when you're outsourcing it, you have no idea what that looks like, and so you're basically depending on them. And the other thing you're depending on is their supply chain. So if they run out of something, you have no control over that. And you're the middleman. You have to tell your customer, sorry, versus if that product, 2020 is the great example, the extra large black hoodie, you could just take down the black hoodies and not sell them. If you know that you can't get them. But if you're not told by your vendor that they don't have them, you don't know that, and you sell one, or you sell 20 of them, you got to tell all those people, sorry, I don't have it. I can't get it. So that provider dependency is a risk with outsourced products. So, okay. Anyway, back to the Walmart order. So I got a 12-piece order times 2 because it was 24. And I wanted to do this experiment. And since I have all these extra mugs, it was an 11-ounce, same product or same print file on all 24. I timed myself doing this. So I printed the transfers. I wrapped the mugs. I have I actually have 5 heat presses, but 4 of them are set for mugs. So I pressed 4 at a time. It's about 4 minutes or so a press, depending on, I think, because it's in seconds. I can't remember if it's 200 and 60 seconds I have it set at. Is that right? Yeah. So it's about 4 minutes, maybe a little more than 4 minutes. We could call it 5. That's fine. And I did 4 at a time. So what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 times that I had to do that. So what's 6 times 5? 30 minutes of actual pressing time. And then I had to print it. I had to do it in separate boxes. Unfortunately, I couldn't combine the orders because Walmart wants a separate tracking number for each order. And since it was 2 orders, I had to do 2 boxes with 2 shipping labels. So I have a bunch of boxes and a bunch of packing materials on hand, and I've got bubble wrap, and, some of it's left over from, the shop still. And some of it is just like returns and different things. Like if my wife buys something from Amazon and she gets a thing and it's got a bunch of packing material in it, sometimes I'll keep the packing material because I can use it when I fulfill for other people or I get an order like this. So I've got a lot of that stuff. I didn't have to buy it, which that might be a different thing, with you. But I bought USPS Ground Advantage for my shipping. I have ShipStation. I have the lowest plan because I'm not shipping as much as I used to. I don't ship a lot. I think I pay $10 a month for that plan, and I can ship up to like 50 things in a month or something like that. I don't remember exactly how many. But it was only one state over. It was in Kansas. So, I knew that shipping wouldn't be that expensive and it would get there in a decent amount of time. Even with Ground Advantage, which is UPS's cheapest rate really for what I'm selling. I mean, you could do parcel or there's some other things, and you also could use Pirate Ship for this to start too, which is another service that offers a discounted mail service. So but because I did it here, I had to drive it to the post office, and then I had another product that I sell that's a really cheap product that I only sell on Walmart, and it sold. And it's literally like it goes in here. I'll even show it to you. It's just these temporary tattoos. You want a temporary tattoo? Let me know, and I'll send you a link. And then I just ship them in these little mailers. So I had to go to the post office anyway to ship that. So I took the 2 boxes and that, and all in all, I mean, it probably didn't quite take me 2 hours, but I'm just going to call it 2 hours to do all of that for 24 mugs, shipped to Kansas. So what I wanted to do was I basically, me in spreadsheets, I decided to create this spreadsheet, and I'm going to share my screen again. And I know oh my gosh, we're at 57 minutes. This went way longer than I thought it would. Sorry, but I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to go over this right now, and then I'm going to give you this later. So this is the spreadsheet that I created. And so right here on line 3, it says 11-ounce white coffee mug. And then I have on line 5, I have the quantity and the order. And so I created a column for in-house, a column for Printify, a column for Printify Premium, for Printful and Printful Growth. And then I just added another vendors column that you can kind of tweak with whatever you want. I actually threw in my numbers with what I get an 11-ounce coffee mug for from Guten, which is a lot less than what most of you probably will get. And it's because of the quantity that I was able to bring to the table. So, but these are the current product prices for these other vendors. So each section, I have sections. So I have like what actually happened with the sale. So the retail price, what it was offered for. And this particular coffee mug on Amazon or on Walmart was $17.99. Usually I sell them for $19.99 on Amazon and $19.49 on Walmart. But for whatever reason, this was set at $17.99. So it came in $17.99 marketplace commission. You can fill this in. So basically you can fill in anything that's not yellow. The yellow have the formulas. Marketplace commission is 15%. So the profit per piece on this particular order was $15.29 times 12, because I know I had 24, but I'm just doing it by the order. And then at the bottom, I say how many orders like this, and I see the total. Because I say there's 2 orders like this. And so, but we'll get to that. So the total profit for one order for the 12 coffee mugs was $183.50. And that's the same across all of the vendors because that's just the order stuff. Okay. Then we have the shipping information. So on this particular, on the in-house, I only had to pay $9.61 for USPS Ground Advantage shipping, which took 3 days to get to Topeka, Kansas. On these other channels, you have a shipping for the first item and then shipping for additional items. So like on Printify at $609 for the first item, and we're talking about an 11-ounce coffee mug. It's different for different products. And then the second item is $299. So basically, if you add that up, it's $38.39 or not $38.98 for the shipping if I used Printify. Okay. It's a little more with Printful because they're at $649 and $350 for the first item and the additional items. And then with Guten, it's less. It's $549 and $2, so it's much less. Then we have the raw or the product information and like how much did it cost to get this product either produced, so the cost of production, or the raw product cost, the ink, the transfer paper, other costs. I have like 2 cents for tape because I'm taping the boxes together. It's way more than I spent, I'm sure, but you get the idea. I have $1.25 for the 11-ounce coffee mug, which give or take, I mean, I have gotten them under $1 when I buy them in bulk, like on a pallet, and and I know you can also spend as much as $1.50 to $1.75, for these things, depending on where you get them for them, depending on how much you're paying for shipping, et cetera, et cetera. Then my ink, I'm using a Sawgrass printer, so it's probably more than if I was using an Epson EcoJet because the ink is actually more expensive, but still, it's mostly white, and then it's just some text on this thing. So it's like 10 cents in ink, maybe, probably less, but we'll call it 10 cents. The transfer paper itself is like a penny, maybe. And then the other costs like tape, like the box. If you had to buy a box, maybe you're just doing one and you're putting it in a box and you had to buy that box for, 75 cents or $1.50 or whatever it is. You can add that here. And you can see. And then the other thing is, we were talking about it earlier. Gosh, I wanted to bring that up. You can basically add whatever you want here into this other costs feature, and it will then give you a product total. So what this product total is how much all of these cost times how many are in that order. So for in-house, it cost me $16.56 in goods or in materials only to produce those 12 coffee mugs. Now I had the coffee mugs already, so it's a sunk cost. I've already bought it. So yes, on the books, it looks like I spent this much, but really I spent, way less. It's more like I'm realizing this profit. Finally, it was on my books as inventory, which is, what we just talked about with one of the cons to owning your own shop is because you have to hold inventory. So that was just money sitting on the shelf. In Printify and Printful and Guten, there's none of those other fees. It's just how much did that mug cost? And they have their mug priced at $461. Printify Premium, it's $350. Printful's $595. If you do the Printful Growth, it's $495. My Guten, I get them at $346. So then your totals are here. So basically it's the price per piece times however many you have in the order. So times 12. And so that's the product total. Then we have labor cost. Okay. So I remember I said it took me 2 hours or so. I just threw in $25 an hour. Is that my labor cost? I mean, technically I'm free, but I'm not, you know what I mean? So I just threw $25 an hour because if somebody else was doing it, maybe I paid them $25 an hour, or maybe I pay them 20. I can change that. So I pay them 20. Um, and then 1 hour, because again, I split it up into two. So if it took me 2 hours, I just split it up 1 hour a piece. If it took less, I could put, 0.75, and you see this total labor goes down based on what I enter in here. But let's just leave it at 25 for 1 hour for this. Obviously, there's no labor cost in any of the vendors. So, because you're basically paying that inside of your fees for the product and for the shipping. So the total order profit in-house, this is for 12 of the 24, was $132.33 with 1 hour of $25 an hour labor. On Printify, the profit was $89.20. If you do premium, it's 102. With Printful, it's 67. Printful growth is 79. And my Guten would be 114. And then underneath that, there's a profit margin. So in-house profit margin was 72%, versus Printify was 48%. Printful was 36%. The other vendor, i.e. Guten, for me, was 62%. Then how many orders like this too, because I had 24, and then you can see that I made $264.66. But if I decided I'm not going to charge myself for labor, or I just want to see what I actually made, and I put 0 in hours of labor, it changes to 314.66. So $314.66 of profit, basically doing it myself. Now, again, it took me 2 hours. So, maybe I say I'm worth $50 an hour, and then that takes my profit down. So again, you can play with these numbers however you want. The difference in this versus Printify is, what, $85 difference. And that's with the labor cost. So it's obviously even more, doing it myself. With Guten, that's the closest comparison. And I was surprised. It was only 40 extra dollars if I, again, with the $25 labor. So it's another $50 that I made because I'm paying myself that $25, right? But still, if I was paying somebody else and I paid them $25, it'd only be a $40 difference. So if you can get a good deal, that's not a whole lot of difference in profit margins, so all of that to say, I'm going to give you this sheet here. You can literally just go to printondemandcast.com/production-comparison-sheet. I couldn't really figure out a better name for it. So you'll have to copy it when you get it, and then it'll be in your Google Drive, and you can edit everything again. I need to change these to yellow because that profit margin is also a formula. So don't change anything in yellow, and you should be okay. Yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. You can check that out. You can download that. So what I was talking about earlier is that you can take this sheet, and you can see what would make sense if you wanted to change providers, on a particular product. And you could add more tabs, so this is the 11-ounce coffee mug. This is the Bella Canvas 3001 tab. This is the, you just copy the whole tab over. Obviously, you might have to change some of the raw product stuff that you would need, and so maybe you're going to do DTF transfers. And so your materials in the in-house would be the transfer itself and the shirt. What does that look like? And so you could really kind of scale this out as much as you want. I feel pretty good about this tool. I mean, I feel like it's pretty valuable. But yeah, I wanted to get that to you guys. So if you're still with me, man, God bless you. Just about an hour and 10 minutes in. I'm so sorry that this took so long. I'm going to get this out to you guys as fast as I can, but I wanted to ask you a question. I wanted to see if anybody in our audience is interested actually in-house production. If you want to actually learn about in-house production, if you're maybe even selling something already and you're like, I could probably make a little bit more money, if I turned our spare bedroom into a little, place I could press the shirts or press the mugs or whatever. If you're interested in that and you want some advice, some good products to potentially look at, some good production equipment to potentially look at. If you would be interested in doing like, some type of a webinar or something, where I talked about in-house production and kind of gave some recommendations and things like that. If that would be something that's interesting to you, would you send me an email to info@printondemandcast.com and or reply to the newsletter that I'll be sending out, which will be going out with all of these links and all of that stuff. And I'll also obviously ask for you to do that in the newsletter too, but just send me an email. If I get more than 10 people, more than 15 people, something like that, I'll announce, we'll do one. We'll do like an hour webinar where I just talk through some best practices and, recommend some gear, talk about what you can do with different things, show you even some vendors that I've purchased from and continue to purchase from, those types of things, and see if I can help you guys get started with that. I'm just curious to see if anybody wants to go that route, because obviously I've been down that route. I'm still doing it. It's very profitable when you, can do stuff locally. It's very profitable. And, if you've got some time, you've got a little bit of room, maybe you have a little extra capital you could spend. It's not as expensive as you think. But if that's you, please, info@printondemandcast.com, send me an email, and we'll see how many people are actually interested in this. If enough people are, we'll do something. So with that, I think I can finally say we're going to wrap this up. Or as Josiah used to say, we're going to put a bow on it. And the closer we get to Christmas, the more apropos that is. Actually, it's like late enough that I'm going to probably start getting some doorbells here because it's Halloween. We got to pass out that candy. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Again, printondemandcast.com/VIP. If you're not on our email list, we'd love to send you that. And you'll have all these links in the show notes. You'll have them in that email. Just do me a favor and send me an email if you're interested in the in-house production. And with that, I'm going to send you out into the world, wishing you many, many print-on-demand sales. And we'll see you next time right here on the Print on Demand Cast. See ya. Oh, and see, I'm just, this is me missing Josiah is what this is. So just imagine that this was really, really seamless, and it just happened right when I said, see ya.
Hey, babe, thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Print on Demand Cast. We hope you enjoyed the Totally Tubular Show. If you've got a question or a suggestion for the show, send Travis and Josiah an email at info@printondemandcast.com. Want to be wicked nice? Take a minute to rate and review the show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to subscribe now so you don't miss next week's episode. See you next time, for sure.